Your baby is already a month old. Can you believe it? It seems like only yesterday that you gave birth. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing 1-month-old baby milestones. What are milestones? Well, they're specific developmental achievements or skills that children typically reach at certain ages. Today, I'll break these down into the 5 main categories: fine motor skills, gross motor skills, language skills, cognitive skills, and social emotional skills. Your 1-month-old's fine motor skills are just beginning to develop. You'll notice their hands are often in tight fists, but they might briefly hold objects placed in their palms. Don't be surprised if they accidentally bring their fist to their mouth. It's all part of the learning process. Their vision is improving too, focusing best on objects about 8 to 12 inches away, perfect for gazing at your face during feeding time. When it comes to gross motor skills, your little one is mostly working on head control. During tummy time, you might see them lifting their head briefly. They're also developing strength in their neck muscles. You may notice some reflexive movements, like the stepping reflex, when you hold them upright with their feet touching a surface. These reflexes are laying the groundwork for future motor skills. This isn't to be confused with the Moro reflex, a startled response to loud noises or sudden movements where they throw out their arms and legs. This primitive reflex is normal at this age and will gradually disappear over the next few months. At 1 month, your baby's main form of communication is crying, and you're probably becoming an expert at decoding those cries. But listen closely, you might hear some sweet little cooing sounds starting to emerge. Your baby is also becoming more responsive to sounds, especially your voice. They may quiet down or seem to listen when they hear you speaking. This early responsiveness to sound is laying the groundwork for future language development. Cognitively, your 1-month-old is like a little sponge, taking the world in around them. They're starting to focus on faces and high contrast patterns. You might catch them staring at their own hands as they begin to discover their body. Everything is new and fascinating to them, and their brain is busy making connections with every experience. Socially and emotionally, your baby is beginning to connect with you in a very heartwarming ways. While you might catch them fleeting reflex smiles this month, get ready, that first intentional social smile is just around the corner, usually appearing between 6 and 8 weeks. It will light up your world. It's just so cute. Your baby is comforted by familiar voices and touches, especially yours. Your face is their favourite thing to look at, so don't be surprised if you catch them gazing adoringly at you. To support your baby's development, keep up with plenty of tummy time to help build neck strength. Talk, sing, and read to your baby often. They love the sound of your voice. Provide plenty of skin-to-skin contact and respond promptly to their cries to build a strong emotional bond. Don't forget to take lots of pictures. They grow so fast. You might also like to check out my 4th trimester series on my channel. And also, have a look in the description below for your free copy of Baby Steps. A 39-page free download is packed with activities you can do to help your baby's development. While all babies develop at their own pace, there are a few red flags to watch for. If your baby doesn't respond to loud sounds, doesn't focus on faces when close by, or seems especially floppy or stiff, it's worth mentioning to your paediatrician. Trust your instincts. You know your baby best. At 1 month, your little one was mostly eating, sleeping, and crying. Now, at 2 months, get ready for some major changes. Your baby is about to become much more interactive and engaging. Your 2-month-old's fine motor skills are really taking off. Those tight little fists are starting to relax, and you might catch your baby bringing their hands together, often near their face. They're also beginning to bat at hanging objects, though don't expect perfect aim just yet. If you place a toy in their hand, you'll notice they can hold onto it for longer. It's all great preparation for grasping and reaching future milestones. Tummy time is getting more exciting. Your little one is probably lifting their head and chest, sometimes up to a 45-degree angle. Their movements are becoming smoother, and those kicks are getting stronger. You might even see some enthusiastic air cycling. When you hold them in a sitting position, their head control is improving. All those movements are building the strength they'll need for rolling over and sitting up in the coming months. Get ready for some very cute little conversations. Your baby is likely cooing and making sweet vowel sounds like ooh and ah. They're also becoming more responsive to your voice, often turning towards familiar sounds. They're developing different cries for different needs. You're probably going to become quite fluent in baby speak. And here's the best part. Those gummy smiles in response to your voice are going to become much more frequent from now on. Your baby's brain is working overtime. They're now able to follow moving objects past the midline with their eyes. Familiar faces and objects are becoming recognisable, even from a distance. They'll start to have a preference for complex patterns and bright colours, perfect for stimulating that growing brain. And around now, your little one might be starting to anticipate regular events like feeding times. Your 2-month-old is becoming more socially aware. You'll notice more frequent smiles, especially in response to your face and voice. They're enjoying interaction and may become upset when playtime ends. Watch for increased expressiveness. Your baby might start to mimic some of your facial expressions or movements. This is a key period for bonding and emotional development, so cherish these moments of connection with your little one. To support your baby's development, keep up with daily tummy time sessions. Talk, sing, and read to your baby often. They're soaking up language like a sponge. Provide plenty of safe objects for them to grasp and explore. Most importantly, engage in lots of face-to-face interaction. Those conversations and play sessions are crucial for their social and cognitive development. Have a look in the description below for my free download called Baby Steps, which has month-by-month suggestions of how to encourage and play with your baby. While all babies develop at their own pace, there are a few things to watch out for. If your baby isn't smiling by 2 months, isn't following moving objects with their eyes, doesn't respond to loud sounds or seems unusually floppy or stiff, it's worth discussing with your paediatrician. Remember, you know your baby best, so trust your instincts. Last month, your baby was becoming more alert and interactive. Now, at 3 months, you're about to see some incredible progress in all areas of development. Your 3-month-old's hand control is rapidly improving. They're opening and closing their hands more often and bringing them to their mouth with better accuracy. Watch as they start to explore their own fingers and might even try to grasp at their feet. Their hand-eye coordination is improving, allowing them to hold onto objects for longer periods. You might catch them intently studying their hands. It's as if they're discovering these amazing tools for the first time. Tummy time is getting more exciting. Your baby can now lift their head and chest high, supporting themselves on their forearms. They're stretching and kicking those little legs with more purpose. Some babies might even show early signs of rolling over, though don't worry if yours isn't there yet. All this movement is building the strength they'll need for sitting up and crawling in the coming months. Get ready for some adorable little conversations. Your baby is likely cooing and making more varied sounds. They might even try to imitate some of the sounds you make. Listen closely. You may notice different cries for different needs. They're becoming quite the little communicator. Keep talking, singing, and reading to your baby. They love the sound of your voice and are soaking up language like a sponge. Your baby's brain is making more and more connections. They're recognizing familiar faces and voices, especially yours. Watch as they follow moving objects with their eyes. Their tracking skills are improving. You might notice a fascination with complex patterns or contrasting colours. Your little one is also starting to understand cause and effect. For example, they might smile or coo to get your attention. It's the beginning of problem solving. Your baby's social smile is in full force, and they're enjoying playtime more than ever. They might even get a bit upset when the fun stops. Watch for some expressive faces and gestures. Your baby is learning to communicate joy, surprise, and even frustration. These social interactions are crucial for emotional development, so keep up with playtime. To support your baby's development, make sure to include plenty of tummy time throughout the day. Provide a variety of safe toys with different textures and sounds. Engage in face-to-face play, mirroring their expressions and sounds. Remember, you're their favourite toy, so don't be shy about being silly. Get your free download called Baby Steps in the description below, which has month-by-month suggestions of how to encourage and play with your baby. While every baby develops at their own pace, there are a few things to watch out for. If your 3-month-old isn't responding to loud sounds, following moving objects with their eyes, smiling at people or grasping objects, it's worth mentioning to your paediatrician. Also, if you notice unusually stiff or floppy muscles or persistent eye crossing, these are signs that warrant a checkup. Remember, early intervention is key, so trust your instincts. Your 4-month-old's hand skills are really improving. They're bringing their hands to their mouth with purpose now, and those little fingers are busy exploring everything. Watch as they grasp and shake toys as they show off their strengthening grip. An exciting milestone to look for is the beginning of transferring objects from one hand to the other. It might look a bit clumsy at first, but it's a big step in coordination. Physically, your baby is getting stronger. They're holding their head up and pushing up onto their elbows during tummy time. Some babies might show early signs of rolling over, so keep a close eye on them. You'll notice them sitting with support, their back getting straighter, and those kicks are becoming more forceful, enough to make bath time quite splashy. There's more conversation this month, with plenty of ooh and ah sounds. They're also starting to talk back when you speak to them. It's a beginning of turn-taking and conversation. Listen closely. You might notice different cries for different needs. They're becoming quite the communicator. Keep chatting with your baby. They're soaking up language all the time. Your baby's brain is making incredible leaps. They're following moving objects from side to side and recognizing familiar faces from a distance. Bright colours and complex patterns are likely to catch their eye a bit more now. You'll also notice more responsiveness to your affection. This increased awareness of their surroundings is setting the stage for future learning and exploration. Spontaneous smiles are in full force, especially for familiar faces. Your baby is loving playtime and might even protest when it ends. Watch for attempts to copy your movements and expressions. They're learning through imitation. While not quite a full-blown laugh yet, you might hear some little chuckles while you play. These social interactions are crucial for emotional development. To support your baby's growth, provide plenty of tummy time and supervised sitting practice while offering a variety of safe objects to grasp and explore. Engage in lots of face-to-face interaction, talking and reading. Remember, you're their favourite playmate, so don't hold back. And always ensure a safe environment as your little one becomes more mobile. Those first few rolls can take you by surprise. Your free download, Baby Steps, is in the description below, packed with month-by-month suggestions on how to play with your baby to encourage their development. While development varies, there are some red flags to watch out for. If your 4-month-old isn't watching moving objects, smiling at people, holding their head steady, cooing, bringing things to their mouth, or pushing down when their feet are on a hard surface, it's worth discussing with your paediatrician. Also, any trouble moving one or both eyes in all directions should be checked. Remember, early intervention is key, so trust your instincts. Your 5-month-old's hand skills are really taking off. They're reaching and grasping objects with both hands now, and even transferring toys from one hand to the other. Everything seems to end up in their mouth. It's their way of exploring the world. You might also notice some loud and enthusiastic banging of toys on surfaces as your baby learns about cause and effect. Physically, your baby is on the move. Many 5-month-olds are rolling over in both directions now. If yours isn't yet, don't worry. They're likely building up to it. Sitting with support is becoming more stable, and tummy time is getting more interesting with push-ups and rocking back and forth. These movements are laying the groundwork for crawling, so get ready to have eyes in the back of your head as your baby starts moving. Your baby's conversations are getting more complex. Listen for babbling sounds like baba, gaga, and dada. Don't get too excited about that last one. They're not calling for dad just yet. They're also likely to respond to your voice with their own sounds. You might even notice some different tones for different emotions. Keep talking to your baby. They're absorbing all the language they hear. Your little one's brain is making incredible connections. They're fascinated by colours and patterns now and can recognise familiar faces and objects from across the room. Everything still goes straight in the mouth. It's how they learn about objects. A key development this month is beginning to understand object permanence. So if you hide a toy, they might try and look for it. Your 5-month-old is likely smiling spontaneously now, especially at people. They're loving playtime with you and might even show interest in their own reflection. Watch for responses to others' emotions. Your baby is developing empathy. Some babies at this age start to show stranger anxiety, so don't be surprised if they're a little bit wary of unfamiliar faces. To support your baby's development, provide plenty of supervised floor time for rolling and pre-crawling movements. Offer a variety of safe objects to grasp, transfer and mouth. Keep up the conversations and reading. Your voice is their favourite sound. Play simple games like peekaboo to reinforce object permanence. And don't forget to baby-proof. Your little one will be on the move before you know it. While all babies develop differently, there are some signs to watch out for. If your 5-month-old isn't responding to loud sounds, rolling over in either direction, smiling at people, holding their head steady, bringing objects to their mouth, or pushing down with their legs when their feet are on a hard surface, it's worth discussing with your paediatrician. Remember, early intervention can make a big difference if there are any concerns. Your 6-month-old is becoming quite an engineer. They're now transferring objects from one hand to the other with more precision. Reaching out and grabbing objects is their favourite pastime, and everything still goes straight into the mouth for exploration. A new skill to watch out for: picking up objects after they've dropped. It's not just for their entertainment, it's building hand-eye coordination and problem-solving skills. Physically, your baby is stepping up a gear. Rolling in both directions is likely old news now. The big milestone this month is sitting. Some babies can sit unsupported for short periods, while others need a little bit of backup. When you hold them in a standing position, you'll feel them pushing down with their legs. And keep your eyes peeled. Some babies start crawling or scooting around at this age. Your days of having a stationary baby are nearly over. Your little one's vocabulary is expanding. Babbling is in full swing with sounds like ma, da, ah, and oh. They're also becoming quite the conversationalist, taking turns making sounds with you. Listen closely and you might hear them starting to imitate some of the sounds you make. It's not quite words yet, but it's laying the groundwork for future language development, so keep those conversations going. Your little one's brain is coming on leaps and bounds. Curiosity is at an all-time high. They're problem-solving in new ways. Watch as they figure out cause and effect. They might shake a rattle repeatedly to hear the sound or drop objects to see what happens. This is also typically the age where babies start exploring solid foods. This isn't just about nutrition, it's a cognitive adventure too. They're learning about new tastes, textures, and the concept of eating from a spoon. These cognitive advancements are setting the stage for future learning and exploration. Your baby's personality is really shining through now. They're recognising familiar faces and might be showing some stranger anxiety. It's a normal part of development. Playtime is more interactive than ever, especially with you. Watch how they respond to others' emotions. They're developing empathy. And don't be surprised if you catch them admiring themselves in the mirror. Self-awareness is blooming. To support your baby's development, create safe spaces for sitting practice and exploration. Offer a variety of textures and objects to handle, supporting their fine motor skills. Continue plenty of tummy time to build strength for crawling. As your baby shows signs of readiness, and with your paediatrician's guidance, you can begin introducing solid foods. But remember, breast milk or formula is still the primary source of nutrition. Keep engaging in conversations, reading and singing to boost language skills. And don't forget to baby-proof if you haven't already. Mobility is just around the corner. While every baby develops at their own pace, there are some red flags to watch out for at 6 months. If your baby isn't responding to sounds, isn't showing interest in nearby objects, isn't rolling over in either direction, or laughing and making squealing sounds, it's worth discussing with your paediatrician. Also, if they're not actively reaching for objects or showing affection for caregivers, mention this to your doctor. Remember, these behaviours might just simply be delayed, but early assessment can make a big difference if there are any concerns. Next month, your baby's mobility really gets going. We're exploring exciting developments like improved sitting, possible crawling, and expanding food adventures. Your 7-month-old's hand skills are becoming more refined. They're likely transferring objects from one hand to the other with ease now. Watch for the emerging raking grasp, where babies use all of their fingers and thumb to pick up objects by raking them into their palms. Everything still goes into the mouth for exploration, but now it's with more purpose. This hand-mouth coordination is crucial for future skills like self-feeding. Physically, your baby is on the move. Many 7-month-olds are now sitting without support, giving them a new view of the world. Crawling might be on the horizon. You might see army crawling, backward scooting, or traditional crawling. Every style is normal. They're also likely rolling both ways now and bearing weight on their legs when you hold them in a standing position. All this movement is building strength for walking in the coming months. Your baby's vocabulary is expanding. Listen for consonant sounds like b or m in their babbling. They're likely responding to their own name now and may even recognise some common words like dog or ball. A big development. They might be starting to understand no, though they may not always listen. They're also becoming attuned to the emotions in your tone of voice. Keep those conversations going. You're their best language teacher. Curiosity is driving your baby's learning now. They're reaching for objects out of grasp and looking for things they've dropped. Object permanence is still developing. If you partially hide a toy, they'll likely search for it. Mirror play is fascinating for them, helping with self-recognition. They're also categorising their world, beginning to understand that certain sounds or words go with specific objects or people. It's a time of rapid cognitive growth. Your baby's personality is really shining through. They love interacting, especially with you. Don't be surprised if separation anxiety kicks in. It's a normal part of development. They're responding more to others' emotions and showing clear affection for caregivers. You might catch them beaming at their own reflection. Self-awareness is blooming. Some babies start drinking from a cup with help at this age, a big step in independence. Support your baby's development by providing safe spaces for crawling practice. Offer a variety of safe objects for grasping and mouthing. Continue with solid foods, introducing new textures as your paediatrician advises. Play games like peekaboo to reinforce object permanence. Read and sing together daily. It boosts language skills and bonding. And remember, baby proofing is crucial now that your little one is more mobile. While all babies develop differently, there are some signs to watch for. If your 7-month-old isn't responding to sounds, not babbling, not showing interest in objects, not rolling over or sitting with support, it's worth discussing with your paediatrician. Also, if they seem very stiff or floppy, don't enjoy being around people, or have trouble getting objects to their mouth, mention it to your doctor. Early intervention can make a big difference if there are any concerns. Next month brings even more excitement as your baby refines their mobility and explores their world with growing curiosity. Your 8-month-old's hand skills are reaching new levels. Watch for the emerging pincer grasp, using thumb and index finger to pick up small objects. It's an essential skill for self-feeding and exploration. They're likely transferring toys between hands with ease and love putting small objects into containers. Mobility is the name of the game this month. Many 8-month-olds are now sitting confidently without support. Crawling is often in full swing, although some babies prefer alternative methods like scooting or rolling. A big milestone to watch out for: pulling up to stand while holding furniture. Some babies might even start to cruise along the couch. Your days of having a stationary baby are definitely over. Your baby's vocabulary is expanding. Their babbling now includes more varied sounds, especially consonants. They're likely responding consistently to their name and might understand simple words like no and bye-bye. Listen closely. You might hear mama or dada, though at this stage they're not always using these words specifically. Keep talking to your baby. You're building the foundation for future conversations. Your little one's mind is working overtime. Object permanence is developing, so if you hide a toy, they'll likely look for it. They're exploring objects thoroughly, often by putting them in their mouths. Watch them search for dropped toys. It shows they remember the object exists. They're also starting to understand cause and effect. For example, they might shake a toy repeatedly to hear the sound. These cognitive leaps are preparing them for problem-solving skills. Your baby's personality is blooming. Social play is a favourite activity, but separation anxiety might kick in when you leave. It's a normal part of development. They're expressing a wider range of emotions and responding to other people's feelings too. Interactive games like peekaboo are likely still a hit. You're their favourite person, and they're probably showing lots of affection for you and other caregivers. There are various things you can do to support your baby's development. Ensure a safe space for crawling and cruising. Provide plenty of safe, small objects for practicing the pincer grasp, always under supervision. Continue reading and talking together. It's crucial for language development. Play hide-and-seek games with toys to reinforce object permanence. And remember, responsive parenting is key. Your consistent, loving responses to your baby's cues help build a secure attachment. While all babies develop at their own pace, there are some signs to watch out for. If your 8-month-old isn't sitting without support, isn't showing any attempts at mobility, isn't responding to sounds or their name, or making consistent sounds, it's worth discussing with your paediatrician. Also, if they're not reaching for objects or not showing interest in interactive games or showing affection for caregivers, mention this to your doctor. Early intervention can make a big difference if there are any concerns. Next month brings even more excitement as your baby's mobility increases and their understanding of the world grows. Your 9-month-old's hand skills are becoming impressively precise. The pincer grip is likely in full swing, allowing them to pick up small objects. They're probably banging objects together, transferring toys between hands, and poking at things with their index finger. A big milestone this month? Self-feeding with fingers. It might be messy, but it's a crucial step towards independence. Mobility is reaching new levels. Many 9-month-olds are now crawling proficiently. They can sit without support for long periods, giving them a stable base for play. Pulling up to stand is a common sight, and some babies might be cruising along furniture. Watch them confidently reach for objects while sitting. Their balance is improving every day. Your home is basically becoming their playground. Your baby's conversations are getting more complex. Their babbling now includes varied consonants, and they might be responding to simple commands like come here. They likely understand no, even if they don't always listen. Listen for attempts to imitate your speech sounds. They're practicing for those first words. Keep talking to your baby. You're their best language teacher. Your little one's mind is working overtime. Object permanence is solidifying. They'll look for hidden toys. Interactive games like peekaboo and pat a cake are probably favourites now. They're grasping cause and effect. For example, dropping food from a high chair to see what happens. Exploring objects by mouth continues, but they're also using other senses more. These cognitive leaps are setting the stage for problem-solving skills. Your baby's personality is really shining through. Separation anxiety might be peaking. It's a normal part of development. Look for sweet little moments like waving bye-bye. They're becoming more attuned to others' emotions and love social play. A new development might be the fear of being left alone. Remember, your consistent presence helps them feel secure as they manage these big emotions. To support your baby's development, ensure a safe space for crawling and cruising. Provide plenty of opportunity for self-feeding with finger foods, always under supervision. Play interactive games to boost cognitive and social skills. Read together daily. It's great for language development and bonding. And remember, responsive parenting is key. Your loving responses to your baby's cues continue to build a strong, secure attachment. There are plenty of other ways you can support your baby's development too. I've created a special resource for you. It's called Baby Steps, and it's absolutely free. Baby Steps is a comprehensive 39-page guide that I've put together based on my experience as a mum and parenting coach. It breaks down development month by month for the first year and then year by year from ages 1 to 3, with activities to promote your little one's development at each stage. You can download it for free right now. Just click the link in the description below. While all babies develop at their own pace, there are some signs to watch out for. If your 9-month-old isn't sitting without support, isn't showing attempts at mobility, isn't responding to sounds or their name, or making consonant sounds, it's worth discussing with your paediatrician. Also, if they're not reaching for objects or showing interest in interactive games or pulling to stand with support, mention it to your doctor. Your baby's hand skills are becoming quite sophisticated. Beyond just picking up small objects with their pincer grasp, they're now learning to release objects when asked. Watch them explore containers, pulling things out and maybe even trying to put them back in. Some babies might be starting to stack blocks, although don't worry if that skill comes later. These new abilities show growing hand-eye coordination and control. Movement is getting more adventurous. Your baby might be taking their first tentative steps while holding furniture. Some brave kids might even stand alone for a few seconds or attempt their first independent steps. They're likely experts at transitioning between sitting and crawling now. Each baby finds their own way to get around. Crawling, scooting, or bottom shuffling are all normal ways to explore. Your baby's communication skills are growing. While babbling continues, you might notice more intentional use of mama or dada. They're understanding more words and might respond to simple requests like wave bye-bye or where's your toy? Their reactions to familiar words show they're building a foundation for future conversations. Keep narrating your day. They're absorbing more language than you might think. Problem-solving skills are blossoming. Your little scientist is figuring out new ways to explore objects, shaking, throwing, or banging them to see what happens. They're understanding more about how their world works. Watch them experiment with cause and effect, like dropping food to see if you'll pick it up again. They're not just playing, they're conducting important research about their environment. Your baby's emotional world is expanding. While separation anxiety might still be strong, they're developing more ways to interact socially. They might show clear preferences for certain people or toys. Watch how they study your reactions to new situations. They're learning about emotional responses from you. Their growing independence might be accompanied by frustration when they can't do something. Patience and encouragement are key. Support your baby's development by creating safe spaces for exploration. Set up opportunities for practice with containers and blocks. Play simple games that encourage standing and moving while holding onto furniture. Stay consistent with responding to their communication attempts. It builds confidence. Remember to childproof thoroughly. Your baby's increasing mobility means they can reach new places. While development varies, certain signs warrant discussion with your paediatrician. If your baby isn't showing any form of mobility, sitting independently, or responding to their name. Also, mention if they're not using the pincer grasp, making consonant sounds, or showing interest in interactive play. Remember, every baby develops differently, but early assessment can be helpful if there are concerns. Your baby's hands are becoming amazingly skilled. Clapping is often a favourite activity now, and they might be ready to try using utensils or drinking from an open cup with your help. While mealtimes might get messy, these attempts at independence are important steps towards self-feeding. Watch how they coordinate both hands together. It's preparing them for more complex tasks ahead. Movement is more confident now. Your baby might be taking several steps independently, or they're likely cruising along furniture with growing confidence. They're probably experts at moving between positions, crawling to standing to sitting to climbing. A fun development, they might start throwing balls while keeping their balance. Each of these physical feats builds strength and coordination. Communication is becoming more intentional. You might hear one or two clear words, often mama or dada, used meaningfully. Listen for more strings of gibberish that sound like conversation. They're practicing speaking patterns. They're likely responding to simple directions and using gestures to communicate. When they wave or point, they're showing they understand the power of communication. Your little one is becoming quite the problem solver. They're fascinated by picture books, especially the bright colours and characters. Watch how they explore objects in different ways. Each investigation teaches them something new about their world. They're connecting actions with results, building early science skills through play and exploration. Your baby's emotional world is rich and complex. While separation anxiety might still be present, they're developing clear preferences for favourite people and toys. They're learning to seek comfort when needed and share joy during play. Notice how they check your reactions to new situations. You're their emotional reference point as they navigate their expanding world. Support this stage of development by creating safe spaces for movement and exploration. Offer opportunities to practice with cups and spoons during meals. Read together daily, pointing out pictures and encouraging interaction with books. Play simple games that encourage standing and walking. Remember to stay close but allow some independent exploration. It builds confidence. While development varies, consult your paediatrician if your baby isn't showing any form of mobility, can't stand when supported, or isn't using gestures like pointing or waving. Also, mention if they're not responding to their name, using words, or showing interest in interactive play. Early assessment can be helpful if you have any concerns. Your 1-year-old is becoming quite dexterous. They're likely turning book pages, though several at a time, and deliberately placing objects into containers. Watch them bang blocks together and use the perfect pincer grasp to pick up tiny objects. Some babies are starting to experiment with spoons and cups. Yep, pretty messy, but it's all part of learning independence. The big milestone everyone watches for, walking. Some 1-year-olds are taking independent steps, while others prefer cruising or crawling. All are normal. They're probably masters at transitioning between positions, sitting to standing, standing to walking, and back again. Balance is improving daily, making throwing balls and exploring more fun. Your little one is truly on the move. Communication is really taking off. Most 1-year-olds use a few words meaningfully, usually mama or dada. Listen for attempts at animal sounds. Those moos and woofs show language development. They're understanding more too, following simple commands and recognising familiar words. Those gestures like waving and pointing are all part of their growing communication toolkit. Your little one's becoming quite the problem solver. A lovely development now is pretend play. Watch them drink from an empty cup or talk on a toy phone. They're connecting words with objects and might participate in daily routines like raising their arms for dressing. These seemingly simple actions show remarkable cognitive growth and understanding of their world. Your baby's emotional world is rich and complex. They might have a favourite teddy bear or blanket now, their first special attachment object. They're pros at social games like rolling a ball back and forth. While separation anxiety might still be present, they're developing strategies to cope, like seeking comfort from familiar caregivers. Their personality is really shining through. Support your 1-year-old's development by providing lots of safe spaces for exploration and practice. Encourage pretend play with simple props. Read together daily, naming objects and actions. Create opportunities for social interaction with other children. Most importantly, celebrate their attempts at independence while staying close for security and support. While development varies, talk with your paediatrician if your 1-year-old isn't mobile in any way, unable to stand with support, or not using any gestures to communicate. Also, mention if they're not responding to their name, using any words, or showing interest in interactive play. Early intervention can be beneficial if there are concerns. Congratulations on reaching this incredible milestone. Your baby is now officially a toddler, and even more adventures await. Thank you for joining me through this first-year journey. Keep watching for more videos on toddler development.